So my whole point of why I'm doing this research specifically, because I occasionally will go on tangents about specific things that I really need to like dig up, and I want to see who is going to essentially survive the Kali Yuga, which is the manifestation of the Uranus-Pluto square, along with other parts of the cycle in which we're now experiencing. I'll actually get into that. I'm going to do another video at some point. I was contemplating on doing it now, but then I kind of got really fixated on doing research about fascism, Marxism, and Kali Yuga, and the generational planets that are influencing those kinds of themes, and how it'll basically potentially it could play out. And when I say it could play out, meaning that since we're in the mutable years, there's not even for certain that everything would particularly go the way that in synchronistic patterns have showed us previously throughout history. So mutable means that it could potentially go either way depending on how the energy and the events that transpire are handled, utilized, or, you know, the reactions of the people or the collective in general. And that being said, the collective being represented by Neptune in Pisces, has no control, has no sense of reality, and is kind of having dissociative personality disorder, like on a sociological level. They don't know who they are, questioning gender. They don't know what they want, have no direction, and they have no self-control. I don't even have to give the endless examples for that. And then we have that energy going on, and then we have Pluto and Capricorn, which are the secret puppet masters behind the scenes, the powerful, greedy, fear-mongering, negative facets or manifestations of humanity, trying to find a way to contain, or even on to a certain level, destroy the collective. That's the Neptune in Pisces. So the one thing I always keep thinking of with the Neptune and Pisces thing, everybody's like, we need to all be together, we all need to do this, we need to all do this. The first thing I think of is an analogy: do not put all your eggs in one basket. Humanity in general is so evolved in a social construct that they don't understand how nature actually works. Think that they could potentially talk themselves out of every conflict, problem, or issue, and you can't. You can't defy natural law. You can't talk an animal down from attacking you. And we all need to understand that we do have a connection to this world that makes us more primal than our draconic or our souls would, like, and that is part of the whole game of being here. All of our souls and everything are going to assimilate back and join the cosmic divine. But while we're here on this physiological plane, we are supposed to evolve as a faction of the collective conscious on an individual level, a microcosmic level. This is not the place or time or realm to be acting all Piscean and to meld in with each other. And that's the main warning I send to everyone about the globalist thing, and about anybody who is more for the socialist kind of thing. On paper it sounds great, I totally can sympathize. But you need to think about do not put all your eggs in one basket. If every single Neanderthal followed the same path, went the same place, and did the same thing, if one of them succumbed to the limitations of natural law, the concepts of Saturn, being the limits of the physiological environment that we are in. Potentially, all of those ancestors of ours could have all died as a result of being collected together. But because on a primal level we are driven to each do our own individual thing and be selfish, I'm not encouraging people to be selfish, but I am pointing out that the natural state of humans being selfish or self-centered is what we were imposed with when we came into this world, so we could go on our own kind of experience, our own life path or whatever, to learn whatever this incarnate is supposed to learn. Talked about this in another video, which I'm sure nobody understands, so again I will go into it at another point in time. But your past karma, or potentially, the things that you may have fucked up on, or the kind of predispositioned kind of stigmas or challenges that were projected onto your last incarnate, are foreshadowed in your chart now with your Black Moon Lilith placement. And that tells you a lot of where you fucked up last time, and your South Node tells you a lot of what your direction was in your past incarnation. And usually, just like with polarities like I'm going to use for the Pluto kind of evolution of humanity to see how this might potentially play out and come up with some theories, you were likely the polarity, or in a sense, on a microcosmic level, the reciprocating or the other side of common scenarios that you experience throughout your life cycle here. So for example, if you're a materialistic, super blessed with Jupiterian kind of thing, and you have an abundance of wealth, resources, etc., etc., in your last life, you likely had absolutely nothing. You struggled with any kind of, abundance or blessings in any kind, and you were essentially supposed to be learning how it feels to go through the physiological material world without having a lot of material attachments to cling to. And there are obviously things that you would learn, or consequences therein, assessing human nature and being in that circumstance, that then led you to sin in a way that you did. And in this life, you are now experiencing the opposite end of that spectrum by having abundance of blessings, being greedy, being overindulgent, and then depending on how you basically left on a more conclusive note in your previous incarnation, did you accept what was going on with you, or did you harbor and hold in resentment or animosity or discontent for the scenarios and situations that your life was put in? If you left on bad terms, more or less, then that kind of residual memories on a subconscious Neptunian, karmatic level is going to superimpose itself into this life by you looking down on people who are less fortunate, or having tension or animosity towards them, or even on a rare occasion, if you have some sort of, if you had self-loathing, or some sort of anger, hostility, animosity in your last life, you're supposed to learn to accept what you had. Then you may end up having some sort of aspects with Chiron or something of that effect that would then make you feel guilty or wrong for being blessed and not everybody else having what you have. So you either are going to feel this overwhelming guilt for being who you are when you're looking at the potential perspective of who you were last time, or you'll have tension or irritability or hostility with what you were. Or, if you did accept what you did in your last life, you likely don't have stressful aspects per se, or hard aspects that would impose those kinds of perspectives onto who you are now. And those are the people that are going through like the degrees closer towards the end of the 30-degree increments, that have learned more lessons or passed on from more lessons of their previous time frame.